Hey everybody, welcome to the first installment of Politico. This is going to be a series where we discuss things such as current events, political ideologies. As I'm able to get other people on here, we'll either have debates or discussions depending on how their views align. And the last thing that I currently have in hopes for this series is to throw in some political satire, give us that comic relief. Because in my opinion, everybody gets supercharged at times, whether it's the left, right, centrist, whoever you are. And I think we just need that moment where we can sit down, have a good laugh, and then get back to our discussions. So, with that being said, my name is Riku. I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown about myself before I get into the nitty gritty of it. I am Hispanic. I was born and raised in the US. I've served in the US Navy. I graduated from my university with a double major in computer science and mathematics. I've worked in the fast food industry, in the customer service industry, and in the tech industry. As for my political ideologies, I am definitely progressive. I believe in things such as universal health care, working on reducing the effects of climate change that we've are big contributors of. And I most definitely support equal rights for everybody, regardless of, how you identify, what your race is, what your gender is, any of those things. We all deserve the same rights. And, so with that being said, let's get into this. It is January 22nd. We just witnessed the inauguration of the 47th president, Donald Trump. And with that, we've got quite a few things to discuss, but I think what I really want to focus on this time is his inauguration speech. He sat down and he had his very, very selective group of people for it, since they had to move indoors. I think one of the things that was really interesting about it was the placement of people. The fact that he had, his very wealthy entourage in front of his incoming cabinet was a little weird. But yeah, it was definitely a time. So let's get into the things that he said, because one, not only is it important for us to kind of hold these things accountable, but two, it gives us a basis of what he was putting out there, and we can see if those actions align with what he put out there for us, right? So I am going to start off by saying I'm not going to guarantee that these are exact quotes, because these were notes that I was writing down as I was listening to it. So it could be very, very minimally paraphrased or exact quotes. If anything, I will also link the inauguration speech and the other things that I will be referencing in this video. So one of the things that he started off with was, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation. I don't see that happening, honestly, at all within this current period of the US. The way that things went last time Trump was here, everybody kind of, not everybody, but a lot of people kind of laughed at us as a nation. They thought it was kind of silly seeing how things went. And especially as we got into the election results of this last election, we also had people going from it was silly the first time to you guys are being kind of crazy with it the second time, to the point that we've had political leaders of other nations denouncing Trump and stuff like that. So I don't think that's where we will end up being. If he does an amazing job, which, personally I don't believe he will, but if he does an amazing job and that ends up being the case, awesome. I'm not gonna disparage him and throw him to the wolves because I don't agree with him. Obviously, since he is our running president, I want him to do well. Look, if he does well and the nation as a whole does better, I will be completely happy with that. one of the things that he said is he will very simply put America first. Nationalism is good. I don't know if the way that he's going to be doing it is good. Um, but we'll see. Another quote: "The vicious, violent, and unfair weaponization of the Justice Department and government will end." So I'm pretty sure we all know what he's talking about. The fact that, he had all the trials and the hearings and all those things going on about him. But we can't forget that just last year he talked about the fact that he was going to use the military, or possibly use the military, on the enemy within, which, as he also described later, were political opponents, people from the Democratic side, the liberals. So hopefully, if he's honest about that in his inauguration speech, then we don't have to worry about what he said last year regarding those things. That would be the best case scenario. So Trump, follow your word with that, please. Let's see, what do we have next? Oh yeah, this was an interesting quote. "For many years, a radical and corrupt establishment has extracted power and wealth from our citizens while the pillars of our society remain broken." It's kind of interesting to me that, being such a wealthy person and also having all these wealthy people close to him to say something like that, because he's admitting that, like, the US has definitely been a little bit corrupted. By a little bit I mean a lot, but quite corrupted when it comes to money and the stuff that people will back. So if he wants to put that out there and, hey, wake people up, make them realize we've been talking about this for a long time. The top 1% versus the bottom 90%, the economic disparity between them is insane, right? So if he wants to fix that, go right ahead, dude. I don't think he will, because, again, he's wealthy, and not only is he wealthy, he sides with all the wealthy people, as we saw by his seating at his inauguration. Okay, this is where I say the America First thing is kind of scary to me. He said, when he was talking about the US, the government, he goes, "It fails to protect our magnificent law-abiding American citizens, but provides sanctuary and protection for dangerous criminals, many from prisons and mental institutions that have illegally entered our country from all over the world." He also said how the US government was giving unlimited funding, which is literally impossible, but hyperboles, I get it. Given unlimited funding to the defense of foreign borders, but refuses to defend American borders or its own people. So lumping those two together, it's kind of scary when you think about it, because being the world power that we're supposed to be, and a lot of Americans like to think that we are, we should obviously fund and help other foreign borders when they do need help, not doing the stuff that we have been, like with Israel and such. But the other thing is, he brought up the fact that, like, there's all these criminals coming from prisons and mental institutions from all around the world. That's not how that works. When it comes to because when he's talking about the dangerous criminals, he's obviously attributing that to the illegal aliens that he's referring to. But more times than not, the criminal percentage of people is very low for illegal immigrants. Like, that's a very, very interesting thing to put out there, because the statistics have shown us that the percentage of people that are doing these crimes is very low for the illegal immigrants as compared to American citizens. Another thing that was really weird that he brought up, he went, "Our country can no longer deliver basic services to our people," and he brought up the LA wildfires and stuff, like the stuff that was going on in California and all that. that to me was really interesting because just not even maybe like, yeah, not even that long ago, because when it was all happening, he was saying stuff like, you know, we're gonna hold this from the governor because he's not agreeing with me and da 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 da. It's like, so you're saying that the country doesn't deliver basic services to people, and then you bring up the wildfires, yet you also threatened to not deliver those things to people that don't agree with you. That doesn't, you're not aligning your words with your actions, dude. That's that's not how that works. Um he said public health does not deliver in times of disaster, even though more money is spent on it than any other country. Honestly, true. Again, he's bringing up something that is very, very fair. Our health system sucks. Having privatized health is horrendous. The fact that you make the health and livelihood of people's well-being a monetary, you know, gain, it's never going to work, because you're going to have the idea of capitalism where people want to make as much money as they can versus the idea of, you know, sustaining human life, which, considering a lot of people from the MAGA movement and stuff like to say they're pro-life, take care of the people that are living. That should be very simple. We have the highest like per capita of spending for healthcare, yet we also have like one of the worst systems. I don't know if it is the worst, but it's definitely one of the worst systems of all the first world countries. Like, come on, dude. He is right, you know, it's messed up and stuff, and we definitely need to fix it, but I don't think he wants to fix it the way that he is, you know, bringing it up. Um he said the education system teaches kids to be ashamed of themselves and hate their country. As somebody who's grown up in the US and has gone through the public education system, I personally don't believe that. I never once had anybody in any of my classes, from my own personal experience, go, yeah, you know, I feel really bad about myself because I'm an American. Like, no, dude, you see how much people love America? Like, it's crazy. That's one of the things that like public education kind of like burns into your brain. And it's very apparent with the fact that like there's a lot of things that we don't talk about when it comes to the history of the US. So to say that like our education system is teaching kids to be ashamed and hate their country is completely false. I think what is going on is a lot of people are seeing the stuff that is going on, and the ones that do take the time to educate themselves are like, whoa, I don't feel really good about the stuff that we're doing around the world, or the stuff that we're even doing in our borders. It's kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about here? He said, oh my goodness. He said he was going to restore integrity, competency, and loyalty of America's government. I don't know how you're going to do that, boy, with literally the richest people in the world just right there up your butt. But if you can do that, Trump, honestly, good on you. I don't see it happening. I don't think things are going to get better, especially as we go into the talks about the the executive orders that he decided he wanted to nix, but we'll see. He said he has been tested and challenged more than any president in our 250-year history. First of all, there's no way in hell that is true, because we have had presidents literally fight through the Civil War. We've had presidents go through the Great Depression of America. If you're going to tell me that you are more challenged than those guys, that's simply not the case. Oh god, this is one I don't very much like. During his speech, he literally went, "I was saved by God to make America great again." First of all, what happened to the separation of religion and state? We we should not make this a religious movement. for good reasons. One, yes, when the people did start this country, a lot of them believed in Christianity and stuff, da da da, whatever. They still had the wherewithal to tell us, we're not going to mix these things because when you mix them, bad things happen. So to make his speech one of those things where it's like, I was saved by God, don't do that. Don't do that. We need to we need to stop doing that. We're not putting religion into things. We've tested this out at times. It's been tested in the past with other civilizations. It doesn't work. Don't do it, please. Oh god. He went along the lines of say, we will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for citizens of every race, religion, color, and then something else. I couldn't really tell the last thing. I think he said creed, but he said every race, religion, and color. First of all, I don't know how he's going to do that considering the stuff that he was saying even during his campaign. Over here saying the, asinine things like, they're eating the cats and dogs of their neighbors, blah blah blah, blah. Like that's not productive at all. And then for him to have vetted the what's it called, the comedian at his New York rally that literally made the joke, essentially, not even essentially, he made the joke saying that Puerto Rico is just a garbage dump. Like, I don't know how he plans on doing that. Um, moving with purpose and speed to bring hope, prosperity, safety, and peace for all these citizens, regardless of those things, race, religion, color, and such. It's gonna be a really tough one. Oh yes, this is gonna be important to remember for later. It said today's MLK Day, and his honor, this would be a great honor, but in his honor, we will strive to make his dream a reality. Remember that. He said during his speech, before he started signing executive orders and rescinding other executive orders, he said that he wanted to make MLK's dream a reality. Right? Um. Yeah. Again, he brought God into this. He said, "We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution, and we will not forget our God." I don't. Yes, don't forget your country. Don't forget your Constitution. Those are very integral to being an American. But adding the God part is, dude, this is too much religion brought into this. This is politics. This is, you are the president of the United States. You are not the president of the, whatever church he's part of. Don't stop doing that. He said something about the restoration of America and revolution of common sense. Honestly, I don't know how you're gonna bring common sense back, dude, if we keep on, reducing our fact checking and just destroying our other things that, you know, bring correct information to people, especially on social media with the stuff that's going on with like Meta, what, Musk did to Twitter, which he's like, this is X, but I like, dude, it's Twitter. And like, it's just bad Twitter. So we'll see how he does that. Talked about declaring a national emergency at the southern border, which is also kind of nuts. Like, everybody says there's a national emergency at some point or whatever needs to go on, but it's just like that. The numbers have been probably the best that they have been in years, and not to be that person, but like Biden and Harris were really strict on the border. So for him to go saying that, we have a national emergency and all this stuff is kind of asinine. Um, yeah, he talked about bringing, the mass deportations, reinstating to remain in Mexico, which is crazy to me. One of the things about the US and even other first world countries is like, we have always provided a place for, refugees and stuff, people that are trying to seek asylum because they're living in horrible conditions, or maybe there's like atrocities going on in the nation that they live in and stuff. That is always been something that, has been an integral part of like keeping humanity safe. If if you were stuck in a place and you know, you're finding out that there's bombings going on maybe like 2 cities away. You think you're going to be here like, yeah, you know what, I want to stay in this country while this. No, that's just natural human like care, you know, and compassion to let those people in. So the Remain in Mexico policy being reinstated is kind of nuts. um yeah, this dude brought up invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, even though he's talking about, you know, repealing and, you know, getting rid of all these old things that, you know, we shouldn't have anymore, or at least, you know, amending the old stuff that we have. And his idea of wanting to not stick to that is by invoking the act that was created in the 1700s. Wild. Let me see. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one for people to remember from his inauguration, which he also did say that he would try doing. Well, that he would do, not he would try, he would do during his campaign is he will attack the he will have his members directed to defeat record inflation and rapidly bring down the costs and prices of goods. So remember, during his campaign, he said he would bring down the cost of things. And during his inauguration speech, he's now changed it to saying that he's going to direct his members to working towards that, but still he's trying to work towards that. So remember those things. If inflation starts going up or costs start going up, we have two different instances from his campaign and from his inauguration speech where he's talking about, you know, bringing the price of things down. Let's see. Yeah, he talked about a national energy emergency. He used that as an excuse for us to start drilling again, which is, we've already proven, isn't good for the environment. On top of that, like, there's no point in continuing to put money into something that we know is destroying the climate when we can just continue to work on the things that we have been, which is reducing emissions. But if we want to drill for fossil fuels, which we know is going to cause more issues for, you know, not just us, but for the earth, as we're literally destroying its ozone layer. It's just, the greed of corporate America is crazy, and we have elected corporate America in our presidency. Let's see. Yeah, he talked about how, like, because he's gonna drill and all that stuff, we're gonna be able to export our energy all over the world. No, we as a nation consume more than any other nation in the world. We are the greediest and most hungry nation. There's no way we're going to be doing so much that we're going to export our energy when we're already importing energy from other people. Oh yeah, on that talk, he talked about ending the, you know, the Green New Deal and getting out of the treaty that we have for climate change. Not good things at all. Let's see. He said, what else did he talk about here that we want to go through at least? Oh yeah. He talked about the establishment of the ERS and Doge. Dude, we don't need an external revenue service. Like, we could just use the IRS to go and get the tariffs and duties and revenues from foreign sources that you need, man. Like, it's, you don't need to create a whole new thing just to do the work that other places can do when you can just hire more people that can do those things. Department of Government Efficiency, I don't think it's going to work, but, you know, cool if it does. And we have Musk, though, who completely destroyed Twitter and hasn't actually done a lot of the work that he's done. Like, he hasn't done a lot of the work in order to receive the money that he has received. He's brought a lot of people that will do the work since he had the ability to spend that money to create more money, but he's not the guy, as we would like to say. He's not the guy. Oh Oh Jesus. Yeah, this is what I was talking about with like Meta and stuff. He went on saying how like after years and years of illegal and unconstitutional federal efforts to restrict free expression, he's going to sign an executive order to immediately stop all government censorship. Not good. Like, I understand, you know, free speech and all that stuff, but there's some things that we should not be like putting out there into the world and making a movement towards, you know. There's a reason why before Elon took over Twitter, we had all of these Nazis and other radicals that people were like, this is insane. They were banned from being on Twitter for those things. And then obviously Musk took it, unbanned a crap ton of them for whatever, you know, reason, which we all know after seeing his salute. Um, he unbanned all of them, and now Trump's over here talking about, you know, stop censorship. Is we are entering the bad timeline. This is not the good timeline, y'all. Let's see. Okay, here's another good one to have. He said, never again will the immense power of the state be weaponized to persecute political opponents. Some words in the middle that I didn't write down. He said, we will not allow that to happen. It will not happen again. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. Fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitution of law. I'm not going to be going into this too much, but since it is the 22nd, it's been a couple of days since he had this speech. Think of January 6th. Think of the people. Obviously, I'm not saying everybody. Granted, I personally believe anybody that was part of the, you know, insurrection, as some people claim it to be, should be in jail for the crimes that they did. But just think about the ones that were actually violent, the violent protesters and the violent people that even attacked police officers that got pardoned. To me, that doesn't fall under restore fair, equal, and impartial justice. We'll see. We'll see how long he continues to bend that one. Oh, this one is horrible. We will end government. He will end government policy to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. Will forge society that is colorblind and merit-based. I look in a utopian world. Yes, you don't need things that will help out minorities or people that don't have the same inherent privileges that other people in America, white people, have. Being somebody who has both Hispanic and white backgrounds, I've seen the difference between how people get treated. I've personally been treated certain ways because I am just brown enough to not be white. So when you try to say like you're going to try to take these aspects out of every public and private light, that is not good. I think you need to keep those things in there to keep people that are unhinged grounded. And if you're going to get rid of all those things, you are going to cause a lot of mayhem and very much put things into the type of situation where sometimes people get violent. And I'm not going to say like I support it, but there are consequences to actions. And, you know, if you push people far enough, we have seen through history what happens. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. He went on to say how there's only two genders, male and female. I don't get why this is such an important, like, it's in all actuality, out of politics, if you ask people, it's not that important. It really is not important. But they've supercharged for some reason, like a lot of MAGA people to be supercharged about the fact that like we need to have it's male and female. And that's it. Like, who cares if a guy that like if a girl that was born a guy wants to transition and do their own thing, let him do it, dude. Like, he's putting money into the healthcare system because he has to pay for like those things. Wait, I think I said girl. No, guy that went to girl, so she. Yeah, okay, whatever. If it was a girl that transitioned to a guy, he put money into the healthcare system. He's put money into like all the things for that. He's also taken the time to do the because you have to have this very solidified in your head. He's done the mental gymnastics and like the reasoning for it that he needs to in order to be like, this is what I want, this is how I feel comfortable with my body. Who cares? Is he changing you? Like, are you upset because like that means that you're no longer a dude? Like, that's crazy. Stop telling people that there's only two genders. It's not that serious. Let people live the way that they want to live, as long as they're not going off disrespecting other people, violating other people's rights and stuff. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Let everybody live how they want to live. As long as they're being respectful human beings to one another, that's all that matters. I don't care about that. It was just him talking about reinstating COVID, like the service members that didn't want to follow the COVID vaccine mandate. Like, I still think that's really dumb because vaccines are really important and helpful, but whatever. Oh yeah, he started talking about the military. He said how he wanted to sign an order to stop warriors, as he said, not military personnel, warriors, from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. First of all, they're not. I was in the military. You're not exposed to all these crazy things because the woke left is doing. No, that's not how it works. I was literally in there. You have your basic stuff that you learn, like all the things that you need to learn when it comes to your job. Then you learn about obviously all the important things that other people talk about, how to behave in your work environment, how to treat other people in your work environment, like basic stuff. Nobody was over there like, hey guys, well, since you're in the military, we now have the ability to give you guys gender affirming care. Like, I never got told any of those things once ever in the years that I was in the military. Like, it's not that deep. They don't have this crazy agenda going on in the military. It's a completely on like, obviously there's going to be people that talk about it, but the military itself is not just shoving the stuff down people's throats. It's not how it works. Oh, here's another thing. He said he wants in quotes, my proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be. Right? So he said that. But right before that, he said the fact that they will measure their successes not only by the battles that they win, which means you are in battles, you are fighting, but also the wars that we end. Okay. Most importantly, wars we never get into. Okay. These are good things to talk about. So he wants to be a peacemaker by finishing the battles, right, that we're currently in, and not entering any other ones. If that's true, awesome. I don't necessarily believe that because of the talks that he has had regarding Greenland, the Panama Canal, and Canada. We'll see. Oh my God, he brought up the changing of the the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America, and it was so funny to see people just chuckle at him at his own inauguration speech. Because why are we wasting that much money? It's gonna cost us millions of dollars minimum to do that whole fiasco of changing the name. You know where we could throw that money? Social services. Help out the American people. Crazy. Instead of worrying about things like the name of this body of water, like, it's not that important, dude. You can help out your actual constituents and the people that voted you in with that money instead. Oh Jesus. Okay, so with the Panama Canal, right? He said it was foolishly given to the country of Panama after the United States spent more than ever on a project before, and as he said, lost 38,000 lives in the building of the Panama Canal. He called it a gift, and then he stated that China is operating Panama Canal. We need to dial down on this a little bit, right? So yes, the Panama Canal was a very, very expensive project. It is no longer the most expensive project that we've ever done, but it's still a very expensive project. The other thing that, you know, he said how we lost 38,000 lives. What he fails to say is the number of Americans that died, so the lives that we lost as a nation, not that much, in the hundreds, which is still not good. Like, you don't want people to die while they're working on a project to, like, you know, better the world. But he's overinflating the numbers, just like he did when it came to the, you know, the number of illegal immigrants coming in and the crime rates and stuff. Like, these numbers are inflated. Take the time, do the research yourself if you want. I will be including links to the stuff that I have looked up. It is not that big of a number. You know, it wasn't expensive. It wasn't the most expensive project, and we did not lose tens of thousands of Americans, because that's what he's trying to, like, put out there, as he's not stating, you know, how, like, whose lives were lost and stuff. Many of them were actually South Americans and Central Americans who are not United States Americans. Like, dude, it's we have to fact check these people. You should take the time yourself to look these things up, and if you don't want to, okay, but there are people here that will actually bring out the numbers for you and even show it to you. So, like, take the time to inform yourselves. Rule number one about a good society is you are informed, right? He said together we will end the chronic disease epidemic and keep our children safe, healthy, and disease free. I'm not laughing because I want our children to be, you know, sick, unhealthy, and have diseases. I'm laughing because this is the same guy that was telling us, you don't need to worry about COVID, it's not serious, blah 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 blah, as people were literally dying because of, either because solely of COVID, or because the symptoms of COVID exacerbated other symptoms they already had and then died because of it. To the point that it was not only happening in the US, we had a global emergency where we went together, researched a vaccine for it, and then distributed it globally. You can't tell me that you want to keep our people and our children safe and disease free and stuff when you were one of the people that was grossly spreading misinformation about a chronic illness that was, well, not chronic, that was, yeah, that was about a disease, you know, COVID, that was killing so many people. You can't do that stuff. Um, this was something that also doesn't align with the fact that he said he wanted to be a peacemaker. He said the US will once again consider itself a growing nation, one that increases our wealth, expands our territory. That right there to me says we're going to be fine people. And for everybody that likes to say, you know, like, you know, no more wars and stuff and all that, and I was upset with the amount of funding that we put into our wars and the people that we lose in the military because of our wars, that is not good. He brought up, you know, the fact of manifest destiny and stuff and all those things. We're not here to make war. We're here to better ourselves as a nation, both internally and domestically. We want to do that, well, internally and externally. We want to make our citizens have better lives while also fostering our relationships with our political allies around the world. We're not here to manifest destiny anymore, dude. Like, I'm pretty sure the globe is pretty much conquered at this point by, you know, whatever countries that are here. Um, oh God. Um, yeah. So then towards the end, this literally contradicts with his whole manifest destiny and expanding our territories and stuff. He said, our power will stop all wars and bring a new spirit of unity to a world that has been angry, violent, and totally unpredictable. I don't think you are going to stop people from being angry, violent, and totally unpredictable if you are going to possibly manifest destiny other continents and countries. Like that's not how this works. So, you know. Yeah, so with those things being said, like some of the stuff he said was good, like the fact that he brought up the wealth despair, like the wealth inequalities, the healthcare not being good, um how he said he wanted to, you know, make things equal for everybody regardless of like race and all those things. You know, those are good things which I don't think he's going to do, but I would love if he did. If you prove me wrong, Trump, awesome. As for the other things where he was either spreading misinformation or saying stuff that would be like kind of out there, like again with the whole manifest destiny stuff, those are not good things in my opinion. I don't think that those are ideas we should have as a nation anymore. Like, we're not here to start wars. We literally have other countries that have the ability along with us to blow up several countries. Like, we could very much destroy a lot of the earth. So, you know, yes to the things that he said that would be a positive notion. I hope you follow through with those things, Trump. And to the other stuff where you either spread misinformation or you're over here saying things that would cause more detriment to the American population, both in our borders and domestically, if he did, or and internationally, if he decided to, follow along with some of the stuff he's talked about. Don't do those things, please. For the love of God, I know he's never gonna watch this video. Trump, don't do it though. I don't care if you're not watching this. This is me saying it to you. Don't do those bad things. We want to uplift the people within our borders, and we want to have good relations with our allies and good relations with people that aren't our allies. Because if you have bad relations with them, we've seen what happens with that. We've seen domestic terrorism. We don't want any of that, okay? So that's our first rundown of, the inaugural speech that he gave. The next part that I want to get into, and this will be the last bit for this first video, is the executive orders that Trump revoked. So these were orders that were previously instated by the Biden administration that he revoked, right? And keep in mind the things that I just talked about when it came to his speech versus what he revoked, right? So he said he wanted to, make the place better for everybody regardless of race and all those things. Yet he revoked executive orders, ones that are such as advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. If you're trying to help people regardless of their race and stuff to have the same equality, you can't get rid of those things, right? Oh yeah, another thing, right? So I'm just gonna list these things off and then I'll talk about them a little bit, right? I don't have everything listed here. I'll post the link where this is all out there by the White House website that he is now in charge of. So you can't really go around saying that it's the liberal agenda putting false information, because it's his administration doing that now, right? Preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation. I guess technically that's not really gonna matter anymore, in the sense that he signed the executive order to say that there's only male and females. But like that doesn't change the fact that women face discrimination and stuff, and people that are, you know, gay, bi, whatever, um gender queer, all those things, like all those people, for somebody that says he's here to help unify everybody, that's, you don't get rid of those things. Okay, let's do this. We'll just run through these. Protecting public health and the environment, and the restoring science to tackle the climate crisis. Enabling all qualified Americans to serve the country in uniform. Reducing our incarceration system to eliminate the use of privately operated criminal detention facilities. Tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad. Strengthening Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act, which is very much liked by Republicans too. Let's see what else is here that we want to list off. Creating a comprehensive regional framework to address the causes of migration, to manage migration throughout North and Central America, and to provide safe and orderly processing of asylum seekers at the U.S. border. Let's see. Rebuilding and enhancing programs to resettle refugees and planning for the impact of climate change in migration. Establishment of the White House Office of Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships. Promoting access to voting. Guaranteeing an educational environment free from discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation or gender identity. The termination of emergency with respect to the International Criminal Court. Let's see what else is here. Climate-related financial risk. Advancing equity, justice, and opportunity for Asian Americans, Native Americans, and Pacific Islanders. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the federal workforce. Strengthening American leadership in clean cars and trucks. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Hispanics. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Native Americans and strengthening tribal colleges and universities. White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity for Black Americans. Implementation of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. Non-displacement of qualified workers under service contracts. Catalyzing clean energy industries and jobs through federal sustainability. Advancing economy, efficiency, and effectiveness in federal contracting by promoting pay equity and transparency. Continuing to strengthen Americans' access to affordable, quality health coverage. Advancing effective, accountable policing and criminal justice practices to enhance public trust and public safety. Advancing equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex individuals. Lowering prescription drug costs for Americans. Oh yeah. Further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. Withdrawal of certain areas off the United States Arctic coast of the outer continental shelf from oil or gas leasing. revitalizing our nation's commitment to environmental justice for all, safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence, and White House initiative on advancing educational equity, White House initiative on advancing educational equity, excellence, and economic opportunity through Hispanic serving institutions. So those are just some of the executive orders that Trump got rid of, right? So he got rid of a lot of stuff that helps, minorities and stuff, because as we've learned through history, minorities have had to go through a lot in the US in order to reach the point that they have. And you're still facing either racism, whether it's through people's actions or even through institutional racism. When you look at things like, the types of trials that we have, especially when it comes to, trials for people of color versus people not of color, things tend to end up being harsher in the penalties and the way that they are gone about, and that's not okay. So when you see stuff like this, it is important to have these policies and these orders where you're helping balance the scale. You have to take those times in order to make things more even for everybody if you're truly a person that wants to unify the American populace. So saying that stuff and then getting rid of a lot of these executive orders that help people of color doesn't make sense to me when it comes to the fact that they're trying to be a unifying administration. And then you have other stuff where he got rid of the one where it's lowering the prices of prescriptions. Not good at all. That's one of the biggest things that people have been complaining about from any side of the political spectrum. It really doesn't matter whether you're left or right or center. Everybody is very upset with healthcare, the way that it is when it comes to getting access to healthcare, getting your medication for healthcare, even getting certain operations for healthcare. So to get rid of the executive order that's supposed to help lower the cost of prescriptions kind of goes against everything, or at least some of the things that people who voted him in for what they want. So that's not good at all. Then you had the other stuff like the climate change things. As I said earlier, I am all for reducing the effects that we cause on climate change. Not good at all to get rid of those things. I think it's just to help further advance the friend that he has in the oil and gas industry, unfortunately. And then one of the ones that is kind of scary is the safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. He got rid of that executive order. And considering the fact that we know he's pretty much been buddy with Elon Musk and other people that are developing AI, why would you not keep something that's supposed to keep artificial intelligence in check? Personally, it seems very fishy, and it's definitely a way for them to allow for some grotesque things to happen, as already has been going on with AI from time to time. There's been many things that people have complained about. All right, those are the things that I wanted to go through for this video. We talked about the fact that this is going to be a new series that's going out there. We talked about the what I planned for this and what my own beliefs are and where I came from and stuff. And then we finished it off by talking about not only Trump's inauguration, or at least his inaugural speech, but also the fact that he decided to revoke a lot of these executive orders that honestly were actually in line with the stuff that he said for part of his speech. So I don't know. It seems like the things that he's saying versus the stuff that he's doing isn't really lining up when he says good things. when he says things that I would consider to be bad or negative for not only the government but also the country itself. He's followed through with them, um, reducing like these regulations and stuff. Okay, regulations help keep people in check, and if you don't keep people in check, then gross things start to happen in the world. So, but yeah, this is the first installment of Politico. Thank you for watching. If you saw the whole thing, awesome. You can give me tips on how you would like me to either better structure things or go about the stuff I'm going on. Like I said, this is the first video. This is all a new process for me. But my goal with this is to not only educate people, but to kind of make politics more accessible to certain people, because it's I've met many that go, I don't really pay attention anymore and stuff, blah blah blah. So I know this is a long video. I'm definitely gonna try to bring them down more, or if they do stay this long, maybe I'll like split them up a bit. We'll see. But thank you guys for watching. I'll have the links to the stuff that I've researched or I've brought up on here. I'll have them in the description. So if you want to check them for yourselves, you can go and do that. If you have any possible things that you would like me to discuss or possibly have other people discuss with me when I bring others on here, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will take a look at all of them and I'll use it all. It doesn't matter. Whether you agree with me or not, it gives me something to talk about. We can have a discussion, we can have a debate. Go at it. But until then, I hope you all have a great night. And, as much as I may not agree with Trump, hopefully he delivers all the things that he's been talking about on the positive aspect of things. This is Riku, and have a good night.